Hello and welcome. We are watching Bharat Tak. I'm joined by the Danish Ambassador to India, Freddie Swin. Hello and welcome.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm so thrilled to be with you also today.
Denmark has sent a frigate to Red Sea, joining coalition with America and other allies. What is your first reaction? How Denmark is going to react with Houthis?
Yeah, but I mean, Denmark being one of the world's largest shipping nations, and of course we have a lot of vessels, commercial vessels, passing through that strait. And of course we need to secure that the global supply chains are kept open, because if not, that will have a huge negative impact on all of us. So we have decided to join that mission. And as you rightly said, we have decided to send out a frigate, and now it's on its way to the area.
How do you see that entire, conflict when it comes to Red Sea and attack of Houthis, especially on commercial vessels? And we know that the world's largest shipping company, Maersk, is from Denmark, and it is that the whole shipping line is badly affected by this.
Shipping is the lifeline of all of us. I mean, we India, Denmark, the rest of the world, we export, we import, and often the shipping lines and shipping lanes are the only way around that to transport huge consignments. And it goes without saying that one of the world's busiest but also most important waterways has to be open for commercial traffic. And if this traffic is being threatened and attacked, the vessels being attacked, then you have the international community who is cherishing multilateralism, freedom of navigation and so forth, will have to stand together, and that's what's happening.
Almost 12% of the entire world trade is done through that, especially Red Sea route. And the biggest giants company of shipping are not actually allowing their vessels to pass through that particular area. And Indian Navy is playing a crucial role. We have heard that whenever there is an anonymous call, Indian Navy reacts first. So if you look 10 years back, it is always the American Navy or the British Navy, but now Indian Navy is reacting and Denmark is joining that coalition. So after that Red Sea area, there is a huge Arabian Sea and the Somalian pirates. So how do you see the Indian Navy reaction on entire conflict?
I would like to praise what India is doing, and especially the Indian Navy. Years back, we also had incidents of piracy, and I recall one incident where an Indian Navy vessel, in fact, helped rescuing Danish seafarers from piracy attack. Called the then chief of staff who was in charge, and you know, this is what free democracies, believing in strong economies, believing in the freedom of navigation. We have to stand together, and it's really praiseworthy what the Indian Navy is doing. It's part of this, and India being a global, strong international player, and also a global player when it comes to the Indo-Pacific and the straits surrounding, then it's important. And the more from India and the Indian side, the better.
So how do you react if I'll say, why don't Danish government is employing more troops and more vessels and more frigates to that particular area?
First and foremost, Denmark is a small country. We are only 60 lakh people, and of course our Navy is not the world's largest, but given the fact that Denmark is a global shipping power and we need to secure that the trade can continue uninterruptedly, then of course it was decided, given the very tangible threats, that Denmark should join this US-led coalition. But Denmark is also a kingdom, and we have Greenland and we have many other waters that we have to protect and to be present in. So we are doing something very particular and special in this case in order to uphold free trade and navigation for all commercial vessels.
But we have a neighbor that is Pakistan, and Pakistan Navy is not reacting to any of the conflicts, not even answering to the anonymous phone calls. I think, don't you think that the entire the global world order will change after all these conflicts?
It might change. I think this was just one example of what's happening, but we see very unprecedented global turbulences, and it's obviously that those who are standing up behind the global multilateral principles, and they will have a closer relationship. And we all have a responsibility, and the free world as such has a responsibility here.
Talking about the current scenario, how would you describe the current state of diplomatic ties between Denmark and India? And what key initiatives or projects are you focusing on strengthen these relations?
First and foremost, the bilateral relationship between Denmark and India has increased and improved drastically over the last number of years. We have had your honorable Prime Minister to Denmark. My Prime Minister has been to India. We have had almost each and every year a summit of one kind of another. Last year we had, in fact, a royal visit, which was led by their Royal Highnesses, the Crown Prince and the Crown Prince. On the 14th of January this year, in fact, they took over. Now it's their Majesty. Yes, thank you very much indeed. So they have a first-hand knowledge of India, but that's showcasing where we are. And in the longer perspective, this year, in fact, 2024, Denmark and India will be celebrating the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties. So Denmark was one of the first countries to recognize diplomatically the modern, free, independent India. And we are proud to see how we have developed over all these years. But more will come, and look into that.
Okay. So my next question will be in the context of trade and economic cooperation. What opportunities do you see for further collaboration with Danish and Indian businesses?
I see a lot of opportunities, not just traditional diplomatic talks and all that. We have a green strategic partnership, which is really focusing on how can we be a source of inspiration for India in India's green transition or energy transition. And we have the 5S, I mentioned them before. The scale of India is not just how many people you are, but also the scale of leashed or unleashed capabilities, capacities, or potentials that India has. And you have huge, you are the future. Skills from Denmark, meaning technologies, a way of doing things. So we have a lot of things, and then you have speed because we need to act urgently due to climate, SDGs, the social development goals and all that. And then we also have the scope. Whatever we are doing should not just be for Denmark or India. And last but not least, we have sustainability. So we have a lot of collaboration. We have joint working groups. We are trying to facilitate a lot of the economic ties, investments from Danish companies, investment from Indian companies in Denmark, and we see a huge increase in all of that. And if I may, we just saw the numbers of Indians getting a work permit in Denmark, and the Indians are bringing the highest numbers and the highest number of work permits issued in Denmark. Will be given or has been given to Indians, and we see a huge increase the coming years.
Whenever you will scroll reel on Instagram, you will find that Denmark is inviting foreign nationals to work.
Yes, we do that.
We do that.
Yeah, we want that. I mean, last week the Danish government decided also to start looking for recruiting healthcare personnel from two countries, India and the Philippines. And soon we'll have a visit of the Danish foreign minister, and we're looking into how we can take that political decision into action. Because we know India is a talent pool, but you also have extremely well-qualified, skilled personnel out here, and healthcare, which we are going to lack in the future in Denmark. Then of course we obviously will be looking towards India, and that is really high on our agenda. And we are really looking for very, very good, skilled Indian healthcare.
Actually, I scrolled many reels and seeing that Denmark is inviting Indians. So I just, for my clarification, I just wanted to call you and ask you, is it real or is it just
No, it's really real. I mean, as I said, that the highest number of work permits issued last year went to Indians, and you overtook by far the second ranked nationality, which is from UK. So, and if you look into those who have been offered work permit from Danish side, if we talk about the Indians, it's really skilled people within research, within IT, within business and so forth. So we see a lot of Indians coming to Denmark because they are also part of how we grow our economy. I will say we can hardly unleash the potential of the Danish economy, which is extremely global, without having, for instance, Indian specialists coming to Denmark. And they come in high numbers and they are given work permits.
In addition with this, with cultural exchange playing a crucial role in diplomatic relation, what initiatives are undertaken to promote cultural understanding and people-to-people connection with Denmark and India? It is very important to promote our culture.
I mean, we have our minds, they are aligned. We have our hearts, they are aligned. And the body should also be aligned. So we all know that culture is driving force, has always been. And these years we are trying to promote also cultural cooperation with textiles. Last year India hosted its first architecture biennale, and we also brought in some artists, and we showcased some textiles that were bought centuries back in India, in Tamil Nadu, and we took it into a modern kind of fashion. And the Honorable Minister of State, Meenakshi Lekhi, in fact, wore fabric, a pattern from that time, which was brought in and brought back to India. So this is about really taking these things. We are also looking into how we can increase the collaboration among musicians. So we recently had a number of experts from the Danish musical scene coming here, and I think this year, given that we are celebrating the 75th anniversary, they will have a huge cultural exchange, Indian artists coming to Denmark and vice versa. So we'll see a lot of that.
So my next question was actually that, are we going to see any collaboration or any big event coming up?
Yes, we are. It goes without saying that we are celebrating the 75th anniversary, and of course we will try to find landmarks, milestones that will signify that we have really expanded our collaboration, that we are widening it, we are deepening it, and we are taking it into the future. So it's not only about, let's say, diplomatic words, statements, but it's really about people-to-people exchanges to bring our hearts and our minds and body into a kind of common and shared future.
So, do you really see India as a Vishwa Guru?
Yes, I do. I mean, I've been living here for so many years. I have crisscrossed India, and you know, you can't sit in Delhi and understand India.
So how will you understand that?
I understand India because you need to have a passion for India. So I have been to many temples, I've been to many mosques or churches, I've been to many communities, I have talked with women and girls and helping with all kinds of things, the farmers. I have really pulled up my trousers, taken off my shoes, walked barefooted into the land helping farmers and so forth. So I believe that you have to jump into the reality, whether it's the farmers or the artists or the ladies are trying desperately to form their own future, and I have seen so much of that. And you need to understand that India is what I call a living civilization, in the sense that you have cultural practices that you started thousands of years back, and you can still trace them from its origin to today. And that's remarkable, and that calls for a passion. And in order to understand India, you need a passion. You have to grow with India in all respects, economically, spiritually, as a human being. That's for sure.
Can you please brief the story when you went to a village and pulled off your pants and went to the fields?
Yes.
When it happened and how it happened? Can you please brief us?
It happened because at some point in time we saw some initiatives doing flash mobs here, there, and everywhere. But that's a kind of staged thing. So I said, instead of doing that, I would really like to jump into the real India, not staging things. And I met farmers and I went, and the farmer was...
How was that experience, pulling off your pants and going?
Yeah, basically, I was born on a farm, so it's not that distant to me. Okay. But, you know, I pulled off my trousers, I took off my socks, threw away my shoes.
But your officials might telling you that don't go.
Yeah, and I don't care, because that's, in order to understand India, understand the mindset of a farmer. You have to do it. You have to understand what the soil is. What does it mean to him? Why is he proud of that? How important is water to him? And you know, it's the same wherever you go. And I have also been. That was some years ago. I went to indoor somewhere and out in the rural part of it, and sat with local farmers and a group of women, because. They had an issue at that time when the farmers had to use pesticides to secure that the yield or the harvest of the year was not really destroyed by insects and diseases and so forth. Then the men, they were doing this spraying of pesticides, but when they came home, they did not wash their hands or change their clothes, and that we all know that's an issue. So I sat with the women on a plastic sheet in a village and discussed with them.
On ground?
On ground, of course, obviously. And they told me that this is really an issue. So I spoke to the local farmer and said, why on earth are you doing that? It's pure and simple that you have to do these things. Likewise, not that distant ago, we also went to help her girls who came into puberty, and they when menstruation, which is kind of taboo in many places, also in India. Then of course, by me and my wife, we went there, we sat with whatever is needed in that situation, talked about it, showcased it, and so forth, talking to the girls. That's how you get into a culture, you get into the minds, the body, and the hearts of people, because you put yourself in their place. That a few examples, and that's how you have to do it. Really, don't give up. Jump into India. That's passion, my friend.
And that's passion is then taking you in 2024. Now we are celebrating 75th year of diplomatic ties. We are talking about India as a Vishu Guru, and now India is one of the world's largest economy. And most of the Danish companies, around more than 200 companies are here. And we have a great trade with Denmark. And we have MOUs regarding renewable energy and sustainable development. So how do you see that with one of the world's largest economy? You have a great trade, great ties, and you are actually looking forward to work with it.
To what, sorry?
You are looking forward to work on...
No, yeah, on all these, yes, of course, it goes without saying. I mean, we are here to inspire, but we also like to be inspired by India. And we know if we are looking into India's future, the Viksit Bharat vision, I mean, what will it take to take India away from what India is today and to become a leader of the global world in 2047, or hopefully much before? You will need a lot of practices, you will need a lot of experiences, you would need a lot of technologies that we have developed on our side. So we would like to put that to all you, the Indians, so you can be inspired by that and say, okay, the wind turbines, the wind business is quite a significant contribution when it comes to generating power, and we all need power. We know that India is really tripling its demand in the coming years. How can we help India? How can we inspire? And we tell India, we are not here to tell you what to do. We are not teaching nor preaching. We are here. This is what we have done. If you can use it, fantastic. Then we'll support you, and support our companies are very active here. And that goes for energy, that goes for health, that goes for water, and so many different areas where we can bring in. And agriculture, farming, we are putting up a center of excellence for the dairy farming in Himachal. So we bring to your table whatever we have been developing in our country, and then it's for you to decide, can we use it? Can it be adapted to an Indian context? And of course it can. But we also like to be inspired by what you're doing, to see the trajectory that you have developed, how you have developed your society to what it is today with the vision and all these missions. We are so proud, and I'm personally extremely proud to have been a witness, but also to some extent part of that development. And we stand ready really to be a partner, an excellent strategic, comprehensive partner to the Viksit Bharat vision.
One last question to you. How cultural diplomacy will play a crucial role between Denmark and India?
But it's already playing a role. I mean, we have an exchange already of artists. We have had special experts in handicraft coming to India. They have engaged with their Indian counterparts. So whether it's textile design, music, whatever relates to these things. And I think next week, in fact, I'm going to Merit. There will be a Danish art person coming in doing sculpture. And so I'll go to the university concerned in Merit to be part of that. So the more of that, the better, because basically diplomacy is just kind of equation for a kind of chemistry. But the best chemistry in the world is the personal chemistry.
Do you use UPI? Do you have UPI in your phone?
I don't have that, but I have seen it. And the first thing I will do when I came back here after Christmas a couple of days ago is really to get it, because it's so useful. It's the key to a better world. And when I look into the number of transactions that you have managed to put through the UPI system, remarkable. It's a game changer for people on ground, people who has really nothing. And if you have a UPI, then you are empowered. And that's, I mean, I think you have spent $270 billion US since 2017, and all these digital payment systems, extremely good. Because you have to empower people and get rid of middlemen who are taking their share. They should not be doing it, and therefore digital solutions like UPI, fantastic. And I've been to many, many places where you see a street vendor, and he sits with his little
scanner, UPI scanner.
Yeah, UPI scanner. And
you can only just scan and just pay.
Yeah. I have a number of other payment systems from the Western world which can be used here, so that's also functioning. But the scale of what you're doing is remarkable. And it's praiseworthy, and I call India the world's technology hub or superpower, because you are really a superpower. I have not seen any other country, any other nation that has been able to develop such a transformational change through technology as you have, empowering the poorest of the poorest, the women and the girls and all that is outstanding.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving us time. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And don't forget that the only tool you need is passion. That can bring you everywhere to each and every person across this great nation. And Denmark stands behind India, also in the future. And we are a partner, strategic partner and friend to India for the Viksit Bharat mission and vision.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friends.